Hey guys, and welcome back to another HD cast. This is going to be the continuation of TLO versus Strelok in the GLHF.IT Invitational. And so last game, TLO actually able to take Strelok out with some very creative Viking play, attacking on multiple frontiers and eventually forcing Strelok to succumb purely through pressure situations. And so it looks like TLO has once again spawned as Terran, so it is going to be another TVT mirror matchup. The map or the terrain that these two players are going to be fighting upon is going to be Steppes of War. And I should probably point out a little bit about the features of this map that really define this as one of the different maps in the beta map pool. It definitely stands out. The most prominent feature is the fact that both the bases are very close together. They probably take about 20 seconds for an SCV to traverse from one base to the other. And so I think that would tend to favor TLO a little bit. We all know that TLO likes to do those kind of cheese attacks. He's definitely no foreigner to those kind of antics. And so perhaps we're going to see something like that this game. Looks like not so far just yet. He is going to throw down that Rax right at 12 supply. So possibly going to see a standard game, which I wasn't expecting to see on Steppes of War. But anyways, the pressure is on Strelok. He is down one game right now, and I do believe this series is going to be a best of 3. It may be a best of 5. I will have to let you guys know about that in game number 3. And we do have, looks like Strelok getting a fairly early gas here, also getting his Rax on the way. Same build from TLO, actually a little bit sooner. And of course, as always, the limiting factor in Terran versus Terran is that Vespene gas. Vespene gas is basically the resource that every human player needs. It's just like in in real life, human versus human, everybody bickering and fighting and waging wars over that last drop of oil. So we'll see what these two players are going to come up with. These two commanders of the Terran army, both very strong players. Strelok and TLO, meanwhile, both getting orbital commands. It looks like both of them are getting pretty much the same build at this point, no diversification just yet. And really the key is for the Terran players to keep their scout alive. This is the scout right here, the SCV moving amongst the base, TLO scout and Strelok's base. And you want to see what comes up after the factory. That's where the build can really start to diversify, where a Terran player can add on another factory, they can throw on tech labs, reactors, they can throw on a starport. So you really want to see what that Terran player is doing, and so TLO is going to try to keep this SCV alive for as long as possible. Factory coming up right here for Strelok, meanwhile. Nice little dancing move from TLO as he tries to keep this SCV alive, but it is going to be a difficult task for this poor one, the little poor one. And the SCV looks like it finally gets taken out right next to this geyser right here as was completing. Strelok here, income showing both players both about even. Strelok slightly ahead in the gas because he has had the second refinery up and he is fully saturated, whereas TLO is just starting to get this one fully saturated. Looks like TLO is also opting to use that first 50 energy, or is it less than 50? No, it is 50 energy for that call down supply, which does allow him to get a building out a little bit earlier, about 100 minerals earlier, and there you guys see that he opted to throw down the starport first, so he is going to have some air coming out fairly soon. Also has a Hellion on the way, lifting off this factory for probably just to finish off this wall. And yes, he is going to be getting a tech lab here and a tech lab on the starport, so we are going to be seeing some Banshees. And Strelok also with his own Hellion, both players almost playing somewhat identical. Strelok and TLO both going to cross up their scouting barracks here. Meanwhile, it looks like Strelok also going to be getting a tech lab with the starport here and another starport down to the south. And notice how he's positioned these starports all the way to the edges of his base. So this barracks from TLO might not scout out the starports, and that could be bad because there is going to be 2 ports coming up. It could possibly be a 2-port Banshee rush. What do we have here? It is going to be a reactor and a tech lab, so going to be a mixture of Banshees and Vikings here. And TLO isn't going to see it. He's not going to see it with his Rax. His Rax is just out of range of both of these buildings. Poor TLO, not going to have any idea of what's going on. For all he knows, it could be Hellions coming out of this with a pre-infernal igniter upgrade. He has no idea, and this Rax, oh, sad story for the lady operating that. Anyways, looks like Strelok going to be seeing this first Banshee coming out for TLO, so Strelok knows exactly what's going on, and there's only one starport for TLO. Meanwhile, looks like he also has a fairly fast engineering bay as well to throw up those missile turrets So perhaps he's already just assuming that there is going to be air coming from Strelok. Nice little micro here from TLO, going to be dancing away from these Marines, going to try to take him out, and this Banshee actually getting taken down to about half HP. He's going to have to be careful because there are a couple Vikings about to pop out of this starport, and there goes the Banshee. So Strelok holding that off fairly well, and now TLO knows for sure there are 2 starports because he saw those 2 Vikings popping out at the same time. TLO here looks like he's getting some siege tanks as well, and what I wanted to say before was, because this map is Steps of War, the possibility of getting air versus air and Terran versus Terran is highly likely. Unlike Kulas Ravine, where the map distance was so far away and there was so much terrain that could be used for mechanized units, this game we're going to be seeing less of that, going to be seeing more of air being played, as Strelok already has 2 ports, already has a Raven out as well. Raven going to be very crucial for that point defense drone to block off the Viking shots. And of course we do have TLO meanwhile getting a command center and adding on another Rax as well. This Hellion just scouting out the area where this natural expansion is going to be. Strelok going to be grabbing that natural. Right now income tab showing Strelok slightly ahead. Let's take a look at the APM. Both players happily spamming away. Of course APM is where the players are able to multitask as much as possible, and that does become somewhat of a factor towards the mid to late game. Strelok, TLO is at 51 supply, Strelok is at 58. He is moving across the field right now with a couple of Vikings, actually quite a few Vikings. This could be a very menacing force.